Good evening, hockey fans. Welcome back into the neutral zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport. The NHL is back from its 4 nations break. I don't even think we're going to calling it the All-Star break anymore. This is just going to be the 4 nations break or the Olympic break or some kind of international hockey break from here out. That was amazing. That was fabulous. The finish couldn't have been better had you scripted it, even though from the U.S. perspective at least, the Final Four didn't reflect the way you wanted it to. We'll react to the 4 nations final and everything that went on there last week. The NHL is back to business. We've got a ton of games on hand tonight to get you through. We want to try to figure out who are contenders and who are the contenders now that we are getting ready to get into the final leg of the NHL regular season. We've got places to be, people to remember, all kinds of things to do. All that and more coming up right here, right now, in the neutral zone. So have a seat, protect that 5-hole, drive it into the zone, and let's light that lamp. Let's go. And welcome all hockey fans, young, old, experienced, novice. We are here for you. You are here. We are so glad that you are here. He is Zach. I am Adam. Together, we are the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio. Glad that you are here with us. Zach, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, great, Adam. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. We are going to have ourselves a show tonight. Tons to get into tonight on the program. We of course have the 4 nations final from last Thursday to dissect and digest, and just one last wonderful look back on what was an outstanding tournament and a terrific 2 weeks of hockey. We will discuss whether the All-Star game should ever come back, or should they just be doing festivities like this every year from here out. The NHL is back. We've got games and scores to look at. We've got to try and decide who are the contenders, who are the pretenders in the NHL, with just a shade under 2 months left to go in the season at that point. We still haven't hit the trade deadline, by the way. And then Zach, of course, is here with a full notebook, news and notes from all across the hockey world. Lots to get into as we do the show here tonight. So before we dive on in, we want to have a quick word from our sponsors here at the station, and then we will dive right in, starting off with recapping the 4 Nations Championship from last Thursday. This is the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, thank you to each one of our sponsors: Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Vital Apparel for all of your gym equipment needs, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and also thank you to Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com, use the promo code IESR for 10% off of your order at checkout. Well, welcome back on into the show here on IE Sports Radio. I am your host, Adam Karnik. Zach Puplis will be back with us here in a moment. He got briefly disconnected, but we'll get him back. We'll reconnect with him and get back into the show. Lots to go through on the show here tonight. We try to have fun getting you caught up on everything that is the hockey world 1 week at a time, whether it is professional, it is in the minors, it is collegiate, it is women's, it is Canadian, it is European, whatever it is. We try to keep you up to date and keep you going with everything in the hockey world and have some fun along with it on the way too. We try to make this show as much for the diehards as for the new fans of the sport. And the way we always like to start off, if we can, every week is, is with the scores. We've got quite a few games going on in the NHL tonight. They have been busy after their 2 weeks off for the Four Nations tournament. We've got 12 games in action in the NHL tonight. We'll quickly get you caught up on the scores throughout them. In Boston, the Bruins are holding on to a 1-goal lead against the Maple Leafs. 13 and a half minutes left to go in regulation on that one. It is 3-2 Boston. Mitch Marner and Morgan Riley have scored the last 2 goals for Toronto. So Boston was up 3-0. Brad Marchand with a goal and an assist tonight for the Bruins, but Toronto's making a comeback. The last 2 goals, one just a minute into the third period. So the Maple Leafs a goal late in the second, and then in the first minute of the third to climb back into this one. In Buffalo, the Anaheim Ducks are on top of the Sabres 2-1 with 15 minutes left to go in regulation in that one. JJ Peterka with the Buffalo goal here in the third. So the Ducks had a 2-0 lead in that one. Their power play working very well so far in that one. Both goals for Anaheim coming on the man advantage. With just under 10 minutes left to go in Montreal, the Canadiens all over the Hurricanes 3-0. 3-0. That one in Montreal. And a bit of a surprise there, as the Canadiens have only mustered 11 shots on net to this point in the contest, yet they lead it 3-0 as Zach is back with us. Zach, can you hear me? Oh, we'll see if Zach is able to get his connection back. There we go. Zach, are you there?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
There we go.
Yes,
there we go. And actually, as I was rattling off the scores, I had just said the Montreal-Carolina game, and then Montreal went and scored again on the power play.
Ooh.
Lane Hudson scoring. So it is 4-0 Montreal. Montreal just 12 shots on net in this game, but 4 of them have gone in. Now that is some efficiency. Unless I'm doing my math terribly wrong, that is 1 out of every 3 shots that the Canadians are taking is finding the back of the net. That, sir, is what they call efficiency. So very active power play for the Canadians tonight. They've already had 5 power play opportunities. No wonder the Hurricanes are having a hard time getting anything going. With 10 minutes left to go in the third period in the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Flyers are destroying the Penguins. It is 6-1
that is
Philadelphia. That is, my goodness,
oh my
what a score there. And it has been all Philadelphia since about the 12-minute mark in the second period. The Flyers just absolutely taking it to the Penguins. We're going to be talking about it later. Ovechkin Watch is on tonight. And we had one. You want to get us caught up on that one, Zach?
Yeah. So we've got Flames. They're up 2-0 on the Capitals right now. In the third. Goals for the Flames, Pospisil and Coronado. Nothing from the Caps yet, though.
Well, your screen is about to refresh, because not only did the Capitals cut the lead in half, Ovechkin is 1 closer.
There we go.
He scored on the power play to cut it to 2-1, and Ovechkin is now just 12 goals away from owning the record.
Oh my gosh. Well, we were skeptical earlier in the year, but what do you think? Or are we saving it? We're going to tease it for later?
We'll get into it a little bit later tonight, but yes, we've got to talk about that because Ovechkin had himself a weekend. We've got to talk about that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then
and
keep going with
Blue
the
Jackets
scores.
And Stars. Blue Jackets and Stars. We got Blue Jackets up 5-3 in the third. Lightning and Oilers. Oilers are down 1-3, and that's that's almost to the end of the second. Looks like end of the second. Rangers are up big on the Islanders 5-1. Kraken and Blues. Blues are up 3-0. That's in the second. Panthers and Preds. Panthers are up 1-0 in the second. The second period just started in that one. Looks like. My Red Wings are down 2-0 to the Wild in the second. And finally, Blackhawks and Utah Hockey Club just tipped off a couple minutes ago, looks like.
Well, I will lighten your spirits here, Zach. Mine is obviously a little ahead of yours. The Red Wings just scored twice in the span of exactly 3 minutes in the second period. It is tied in Minnesota at 2 apiece.
Oh my God. I'll take it. Sweet.
So with 6:48 left, with 6.5 minutes left to go in the second period, the Red Wings are now tied with the Wild.
Woo! Nice.
So there are our scores in the NHL for tonight, and we'll keep you updated on those. Good evening, by the way, to both Marcus Los Great and Taryn Rodriguez watching the show live on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate that, gentlemen. Appreciate you being here. Thank you to everybody that is watching the show live across both YouTube and Twitter tonight. And of course, we want to say hello to everybody that is listening later on as a podcast. We appreciate everybody tuning in to the show. We got to talk about that Four Nations tournament, though. It ended in about as spectacular and dramatic of fashion as you could possibly have last Thursday night, as the US and Canada, it was the matchup we were all hoping for, that we were all wanting to get in the rematch. And it did not disappoint. We saw plenty of offense early in the contest, and then it got down to business in the third period. And we wound up with a wonderful overtime game that saw Canada top the U.S. 3-2. What do you think of the championship game by itself, Zach? Oh, and I think Zach got frozen again. There we go. Zach, are you back?
Oh, can you hear me?
There we go. Now we can. Absolutely.
Okay. I didn't get a chance to actually see it, but my score prediction wasn't far off.
We were both very close. Yeah, I think we both had it as 4-3. The defense played a little bit tighter than we thought. I also kind of wanted to pat myself a little bit. I predicted that Canada would open the scoring, and then it would be the U.S. rebounding after that, and that's pretty much exactly what happened. With nice goals from Brady Tkachuk and then Jake Sanderson. The big one, though, was Sam Bennett in the second period, righting the ship, if you will, for Canada, got the momentum away from the U.S. a little bit, and then they were just save after save and great play on both ends. It was excellent hockey on both ends of the ice. Really was a well played game. And then finally in overtime, you can't ignore Connor McDavid. You just, that if there was, the U.S. defense had played such a strong game all the way throughout. We saw some terrific play from the blue liners, and then everybody went chasing after the puck, and Connor McDavid then was all alone by himself in the slot, and you're just there was nothing really Hellebuck could have done. McDavid had all the time he wanted to set up his shot. No screen that he had to work through. He just could pick whatever spot he wanted, and Hellebuck, it was near point blank range. There was just nothing Hellebuck could do. So the US ultimately finishes second in the Four Nations tournament, and in this short of range, there's no silver medal for finishing second either. So, sorry, I had to throw that in there, Zach. It sounded like you were about to ask a question before I went off on a tangent there. Oh, and Zach is having where Zach is at. He is having obviously a difficult time connecting. So are you back? Oh, we can see him moving, but can't necessarily hear Zach yet.
Yes. Oh, no. Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yes. Yep. Go right ahead.
Okay. Connor McDavid doing Connor McDavid things. Jordan Binnington getting back to vintage form from their Stanley Cup run from 2019. And of course I'm here for your Sean Connery.
I thought you would appreciate the little nod there at the end.
But of course.
So what were your thoughts on the tournament as a whole? I mean, the big question, of course, that now everybody's asking, will the NHL ever go back to a more traditional all-star game?
I honestly, wow. I think no. I mean, every couple of years you do the Four Nations tournament. You already got a break for the Olympics every 4 years anyways. So Olympics every 4 years, you could do Four Nations tournament every 4 years, World Cup of Hockey every 4 years, and then maybe the All-Star game that every fourth year. I don't know, but it's conceivable they might not bring it back.
Yeah, and the All-Star game would be the year that everybody goes, oh, that's this year. Oh, darn. Yeah. Okay.
It's the off year midterm elections.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's now with
council elections.
Right. And now with the NHL returning to the Olympics, because they didn't use Olympic players last go around for the last Winter Olympic Games. Now they're using, and they're comfortable using NHL players again, which, I mean, the NHL players always wanted to do it. It was the NHL that didn't want to release their players, which I get, but I don't like. It's you want the best of the best being represented in the Olympics. That's the whole point. So that means the NHL, you know what? Yeah, push pause in your season for a couple weeks. You can figure this out. You can work around this in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. We're gonna see them in the Olympics
long enough for sure.
Right. We're gonna see these guys in the Olympics, and that was, oh my gosh, that was the talk even right away last week was, man, if this tournament was this good, imagine what the Olympics are going to be like next year. Everybody that's playing on these teams, this is warm-ups and tryouts for your nation's Olympic team here next year. Because you imagine there were guys like
Yeah.
Patrick Kane was not on Team USA. Connor Bedard was not on Team Canada. You know, you had, and Alex Ovechkin wasn't even in the tournament because, you know, Russia wasn't one of the four nations.
Wasn't.
You know, and
Yeah, exactly.
Russia won't be in the Olympics, but that's a whole other thing. They'll have a Russian coalition thing again, but I can't see right. I can't see the more traditional all-star festivities. At most, like you said, it's at most going to be once every 4 years, and that's going to be the bummer of the 4 years. You know, it's going to be the, oh, okay, well, that's the one where we can all collectively skip this one and wait for the good one next year. But we had 4 nations this year. We have Olympics next year. Then we have the World Cup of Hockey in 28, I believe. I can't remember if they said that was going to be 27 or 28, but we've got that coming up. Oh yeah, it's international hockey is absolutely just becoming the new de facto all-star break. and I am all for it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. And the biggest thing to me is the players care. You know, you can tell that this tournament, these games mattered to the players, whereas the all-star festivities, that's more of a celebration of your sport and everybody, hey, we could all kind of exhale here for a little bit and just have some fun. It's more like I'm trying to think of it because I know you're a theater guy. I'm trying to think would I be right in saying like the all-star game is more of like the rap party where
or even like a dress rehearsal versus an actual show, or like a tech rehearsal versus an actual show, or I had a different analogy and I lost it.
I hate when that happens. We'll have to see if we can find it.
Here. Exhibition. That's all it is. I mean, like, think about college basketball early in the season. They'll play exhibition games to get warmed up, but they don't actually count for anything. Or even like back at our marching band days, like if we hosted the competition, you know, it wasn't a fair draw per se for us to be competing against everybody else. So we'd compete, but it would just be exhibition. Like, that's probably the best way to describe it.
And then inevitably it's almost like, we're not so worried about the results of this one. So it's inevitably, you're not necessarily having it, you know, it's a totally different thing. Whereas these games, holy cow, everything was mattering. Everything was worth watching everything. I mean, even that the Sweden Canada game on Monday of last week was keeping up with that because that was right. Everything was riding on that, you know, Finland, Canada, not Sweden, Canada. It was Sweden, US on Monday night. It was Finland, Canada. Everything was riding on that.
Oh, to see who would play the US in the final.
Okay. Right. Who would play the US. And had that game gone into overtime, the US could have just rigged the whole thing right then and there by saying, oh, look, we're going to play nobody against Sweden so that we can make sure that we get Sweden again on Thursday night and we can just wrap this whole thing up nice and easily and pretty, you know. So everything was riding on that Monday night. So it's just, or Monday afternoon rather. So it's just great fun, great entertainment, spectacular hockey. You know, you want to celebrate the sport. This was celebrating the sport because you got to see some of the best in the world competing at their hardest.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. So you look at, maybe you'd have to look at the ratings for the last, 10, 20 years, whatever, for the All-Star game and like compare that. And I think the ratings would definitely show that this was way better way to do it. And so if you're trying to grow the game, trying to become more popular, I think this is the way to go, really, as opposed to the All-Star like we're talking about. Because like, especially when that big fight happened in the Canada US game the first time, the first matchup, my coworker and I were talking about it, and she doesn't even watch hockey. She was like, "Oh man, I'm juiced. I want to watch the second matchup now. If they're going to be playing each other again, like, are they going to get more fights? Are they going to boo the national anthem again? Like, all these different things played into it, and especially with the politics aspect too right now. Like, yeah, I mean, you would get a whole lot more casual fans that probably watch this versus just the All-Star game."
Oh yeah, it was the championship game Thursday night was the single biggest hockey, most watched hockey broadcast that ESPN has ever had.
Wow.
So it was easily their most watched hockey broadcast. So yeah, it was a big thing. So I love the idea. And it was so funny when the idea came out, it was met with some well-earned skepticism, and it's instead they pulled it off perfectly. Gary Bettman catches a lot of flack, deservedly so, for a lot of things, but let's give credit where credit is due. The NHL knocked it out of the park with this Four Nations tournament.
Yeah.
This was spectacular. This was incredibly well done. This was a spectacular way to grow the game of hockey. All right, let's take for ourselves a quick break. And then on the flip side, let's get ourselves back reacclimated into the NHL a little bit. Tonight is night 4 of games since the Four Nations tournament. Some teams, like my Blackhawks, are on their 3rd game already since the break. Wow, that is a busy schedule. We will dive into. We'll check in on the games going on now, but we'll also kind of try to make sense of this field as we've only got a couple months left in the season. Who's a contender? Who's a pretender in the NHL as we get things set up for the final sprint to the finish? You are tuned into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, guys? If you're looking for the best coverage of all Northern California sports, including 49ers, Giants, Warriors, then check out the NorCal Sports Report with yours truly, Andre Fernandez, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We have guests every single week, Talking 49ers, Giants, Warriors, Sharks, San Jose Earthquakes, and a whole lot more, plus 3C2A. You do not want to miss this show. So tune in Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time to the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam and Zach back with you here. So the NHL, we went through that wonderful thing that was the Four Nations tournament. We loved it. We enjoyed it. We don't want it to ever end or stop. That was amazing hockey. That was all the great stuff. Now we are back into the throes of the NHL season. This is night 4 of the restart. We've had some teams are already on their third game, like my Blackhawks, on their third game of the restart already. Lots to be going through. Larry B joining us with his ever-present mantra, his love for his team there in Anaheim. We know how much he loves his Anaheim Ducks so much. They are his favorite team. He says he's a Raiders fan. He's really more of a Ducks fan. He loves it. And checking in on those Ducks, they have blown their lead too. They were up 2-0. It is now 3-2 Buffalo with 4 minutes to go in the third period. Henry Yokoharu right now with what would be the game-winning goal. So I can understand where Larry's coming from with his frustration here right now for the Ducks. But as we're getting back into the NHL restart, if you will, into the second half of the season, if you will, and we're looking up and down the standings. Zach, in your mind, I want to look at contenders and pretenders a little bit here. We've got basically 2 months left in the season. Everybody has played. I'm looking through. Everybody coming into today has played a minimum of 55 games, and most teams have played 57, 58, 59. We've even got one team, Pittsburgh, I see, has played 60 already. I think tonight is 61 for the Penguins. So everybody's got 20 some odd games left in the season. Give me a contender that you like at this point. We'll do it back and forth this way a little bit. Give me a pretender, or a contender rather.
Ooh, wow. I'm gonna go with the Caps. The way Ovechkin's been playing, I mean, he's only got 12 more goals to pass Gretzky, so he's definitely got the motivation to do it. They're sitting in first in the Metropolitan. Looks like they got 84 points, so they're like 14 points ahead of anybody else. Carolina's in second, tied with New Jersey as well, with 70, and they're even ahead of anybody in the Atlantic as well.
Yeah,
and they seem to be doing really well.
I am shocked by Washington. This is incredible. I mean, this is obviously you're having Ovechkin have his push, and we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit towards the end of the show. But it's not just him. It is the fact that everybody on that team is pushing and pulling and just playing their hearts out and their hardest for him. They've got the best goal differential in the Eastern Conference. It's not just scoring. They're having the defense and the net front presence as well. There's only one team in the NHL right now with a better goal differential than the Capitals right now. So what we are seeing from them is really, really impressive overall. I'm gonna name a contender here. Then we'll change it up a little bit here. I want to go over to the West. This one, I feel like if we'll stick with, if we're going to stick with the theme of division leaders, I really do feel like Winnipeg is a contender in this thing. Connor Hellebuck is, for me, the best goalie in the world right now. You could make a case for Igor Shesterkin. You could talk about Jordan Bennington, a little bit. For me, though, if I've got to have a goalie today for a game, I'm still going with Connor. That to me, I'm still going to go with Connor Hellebuck. That's going to be the guy I'm going to take if you can give me them all. And to me, that matters. I know that there's the reputation of not being able to get it done in the biggest moments. And obviously, we talked about it with the Four Nations giving up the game-winning goal to Connor McDavid. But that was Connor freaking McDavid from 4 feet away. Yeah. You name me a goalie in history. They're not making that stop. They're just not. McDavid is burying that goal. I don't care. You can get any all-time great goalie, and McDavid's winning that one. That's just the way it is. All right. So now I want to throw. Let's play it this way a little bit. I'm gonna name a team, and I want you to say contender or pretender. Okay.
Well, here, can I get a second on the Jets?
Oh, please.
Well, okay. So you said that Washington had the best goal differential in the Eastern Conference, and same thing with points leaders. I was looking at all the rest of the standings, and sure enough, best in the Eastern Conference on both of them. Okay, so what does that mean? So if they're not the best in the league, okay, well, who's the best in the league? Oh, you look at the Western Conference? Winnipeg on both. But they're neck and neck. So it'd be interesting to see who's going to.
Yeah, it is going to be a very interesting push to the end here from both of these teams, and Washington has won a cup in the last decade, so they don't have as much to prove. Winnipeg has got a ton to prove coming up here in April. If they're not playing hockey in May, there is going to be. It's going to feel an awful lot like Vancouver in Winnipeg. We'll put it that way.
Can
you hear me?
Now we can. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Headphone died. So they're the Andy Dalton Cincinnati Bengals. They get to the playoffs every year and they never get any further.
And just that first round. All right.
Well, even the second round, but yeah, they never seem to advance any further than that. They don't get to the conference final. They don't get to the cup at all.
Yep. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. All right.
Right.
So I'm gonna name a team, and I want you to say pretender or contender. All right. And I see Taryn's wanting to play along in the chat room, so we will get him involved as well. But I'm gonna start here with you. Minnesota. The Wild, currently 34-19-4, sitting third place in the Central Division. Are the Wild contenders or pretenders?
Oh, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, a little bit. There we go.
Okay. They're kind of in the same. Again, they make the playoffs every year, but second round.
Oh man. I'm gonna say pretender.
And
Because
that is exactly where I'm at with the Wild. I do not trust the Wild this year. I just don't. Marc-Andre Fleury is still a wonderful goalie, and he's having a wonderful send-off season with the Wild and having a ton of fun. I do not trust Minnesota. I feel like that's a pretender right there. Taryn is asking in the chat room, what about the Kings? Are the Kings a pretender or a contender?
I'm gonna say contender. The way they came out of nowhere last year to make the playoffs again after a drought. I think they'll follow it up again with another good year.
Yeah, you're liking the Kings. They're currently sitting in third. They've got a comfortable, well, for right now anyway, comfortable lead on Vancouver. What's working best in the Kings' favor is they've only played 55 games. Now,
Oh my gosh, yeah, good call.
the reason for that is, because Los Angeles was on fire there for a week, and so they couldn't play games. So they're gonna, they're gonna have to make that up. They're gonna have a push here towards the end, but Kempe and Kopitar are having decent point seasons at this point. To this point, 48 and 46 points respectively. I don't know that for me with the Kings, I don't know that they have enough depth scoring. You've got Kempe has 25, Fiala has 23 goals to this point in the season. You've got, but then you only have Lafayette and Fogley both have 15. And only a couple other players are even in double digits at this point. I worry about the Kings' depth. I think that the Kings, if they go shopping here in a week or two, then I think I would feel better about the Kings. But for me personally, I think the Kings right now are a little bit in that pretend. They're more leaning pretender than contender to me.
Okay.
That's kind of where I am at. Let's see. We want to do one more or two more here.
Oh, wait, let's do one more.
All right. This one's going to be near and dear to you. The Red Wings. The Red Wings sitting fourth place in the Atlantic. They would, as we sit here right now, they are in the wild card. They're tied with Columbus and 2 points in front of the Senators for a wild card spot. Okay. They're fourth place in the Atlantic. They're 4 points behind the Tampa Bay Lightning. Are the Red Wings contenders or pretenders?
Ooh, man. Let's see. So ever since they fired their coach, they had that new guy step in, Todd McClellan, and they had the longest winning streak up until, a month ago. So they won like 7. And just tonight, the way that they were able to be resilient and bounce back from that 2-goal deficit in a matter of 3 minutes.
They are tied at 2 at the end of 2 up in Minnesota.
I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic and say contender.
All right. I am like you. I am torn on these guys. This is overall a young team. Yes, you've got Alex DeBrincat. Yes, you've got Patrick Kane. You've got veterans there. But this is still overall a very young team in Detroit overall. I would not want to be I would not want to be the team that catches Detroit in the first round. I'll put it like that. I don't think the Red Wings are really ready to truly compete, but they are a scrappy team that is too young to realize that it doesn't know what it doesn't know. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
That you get into the playoffs and it's, hey, you're a wild card team. You're supposed to be in, especially if, oh my God, if they get Toronto, if it's Toronto, Detroit in the first round, which as we're sitting here right now, it would be. Hey, you guys are supposed to lose here. You're not ready yet to compete. You're supposed to just be that warm-up team for the Maple Leafs to finally make a championship run. And I could see the Red Wings taking that series and the storyline would be, oh, there go the Maple Leafs blowing it again in the first round. But that wouldn't entirely be fair.
I'm already licking my chops if that's the case.
I know. Yeah. Toronto versus the first round.
Please.
Toronto versus the first round. No, Toronto does not like the first round. Toronto needs to convince the NHL to have a bot. Yeah. What?
I might be. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You need to convince them.
Convince the NHL. Can we just
now? If it's the second round, I'd be worried.
Please?
But first round, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That first round. Oh, that's right where you. That's where you want to face. Yeah, that's where you want to face Toronto. So.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm licking my chops at this point. Oh my God. Yeah.
So yeah, it's I can't say that the Red Wings are pretenders, but contenders, not yet. Not really contenders, but boy, if they get into the playoffs, I would not want to face them. I would not want to face them in that first round.
And it's been almost 10 years. I mean, like, I didn't think the drought would last this long. I really didn't.
Well, and that's the other thing. We're way ahead of ourselves here. You know, there's still 20 plus games of hockey that need to be played to finish out this regular season. But man, if you're the team that, heaven help that team if they drop either game 1 or game 2 and then go into Detroit for game 3 in Hockey Town, where they haven't had a postseason game in a decade.
Yeah.
Little Caesars Arena is going to be electrified for that game.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
The Lions just got the number 1 bye and home field advantage and number 1 seed in the first round bye and all that. I thought it would be the exact same way. I really did.
I mean, Ford Field was electric. Ford Field was absolutely electrified and all that. The difference here is there would be no pressure on the Red Wings. You know, all of the pressure in the world would be on the other team, whether it be Toronto or Washington or whom else here we are we talking? You know, if it's the Panthers or whomever, all the pressure in the world would be on
New Jersey, maybe.
Yeah, whomever it would be, the pressure would squarely be on the shoulders of that other team. In Detroit, you're a wild card team. You haven't been here in a decade. You're young. You're young. You're dumb. You're not supposed to know how to win in this round. You know, it would be you can play loose, you can play free, you can, oh, hey, look, I found a puck. There you go. It's in, what do you know? It's in the back of the net. You can, and if you lose, okay, well, we lost a game. Okay. Nobody expected us to win this round, kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's true.
yeah, I don't want to go so far as to say the Red Wings are actually a contender, but man, I would not want to be facing them in the first round of the playoffs. Well, let's
from your mouth to God's ears.
exactly. Hey, whatever I can do. My Blackhawks aren't going to be sniffing the playoffs, so I may as well have something to entertain myself with as come this spring. God knows the White Sox.
We got a river Patrick Kane. There you go.
Okay, sold. Twist my arm. There we go. Done. God knows the White Sox aren't going to be bringing me any joy. That's all right. We'll
Wop,
have.
wop.
I'll have the Cubs to keep me company all summer long. That's okay. Wow, we've been very talkative here on the show tonight, which I guess is normally an attribute for a talk show, but the time has kind of gotten away from us. Give me one thing from your notebook.
I'll give you two real quick ones. So,
all right, too
Anaheim
fast.
Ducks acquire Villahuso from the Detroit Red Wings. The Ducks acquired veteran goaltender Villahuso from the Red Wings for future considerations Monday, club announced. Ducks saw starter John Gibson leave Saturday's win over the Boston Bruins because of an injury. Will send Huso to San Diego Gulls in the American Hockey League. Popular name on the trade market, largely because of his contract. Huso, 30, is playing out the final days of a 3-year deal he signed up with Detroit. Carries a $4.75 million salary cap hit. Also, Andrew Kopp has surgery on his pectoral, so he's going to be out for the rest of the season for the Red Wings because he's undergoing surgery. He's expected to be sidelined 4 to 6 months. Was injured in Saturday's 4-3 overtime loss to the Minnesota Wild. Placed on injured reserve on Monday. He has 10 goals, 23 points, 8 penalty minutes, and 35 blocks in 56 games this season.
6 months. He could be in June. No, he'd be back. 6 months. 6 months would be September basically at this point. He'll be back in time for the start of next year.
Yeah.
All right. So two quick ones and then one from me real quick. We brought it up a couple of times. Alexander Ovechkin going into the Four Nations break. He was 16 goals away. He is now 12 goals away. He had a hat trick over the weekend on Sunday. And he's had one here tonight. And I'm just going to make sure that he didn't have a second one while I wasn't looking. He had he scored on the power play tonight for Washington, and that was the only goal the Capitals scored in their loss to the Flames. So Alexander Ovechkin is 12 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's record.
Whew. He might still do it this year.
It's going to be a wild push to the end of this regular season. Capitals games are going to be must watch, not just because they're sitting on top of the division as well.
Whew, man. Yeah. I mean, he's still got a little leeway. So it's maybe 1 goal a game with some cushion, but we'll see.
Absolutely. The Capitals, for reference, after that game tonight, they have played 58 games. So they have 24 to go. He needs a goal every other game.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Every other game to get it done.
He might just do it.
It's oh man, I was thinking it was going to be next season at this point, but he might sneak it in. All right. that is going to do it for our show here this evening. A big shout out and thank you, of course, to all of our sponsors. Planet Jerky, premium jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. Vital Apparel. Go to vitalapparel.com to place your orders there for all your workout needs. Use the promo code IESR at checkout and get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. And then after you order your Vital Wear workout apparel, you should stop by GetRawNutrition.com and use the promo code IESR for 10% off of your supplement order to maximize your workout. Seal the Deal Wax Deals. Go to iesportsradio.com/Seal the Deal Wax Deals to place your order for your personalized and specialized anything you've been filling out in the mail. And of course, IE Sports Radio. Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio, and go to iesportsradio.com to pick up on everything related with the show. Thank you to everybody that hung out in the chat room with us tonight. Karen Rodriguez, Larry B, Marcus Great. Thank you all, gentlemen, for hanging out with us. Thank you to the 175 of you that watched the show live across Twitter and YouTube. We appreciate that. And thank you to everybody that was listening on later on in the show as a podcast. Whether it's Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, thank you for being here. Next week, we will keep an eye on Ovechkin Watch. We'll take a look at what's getting ready as the trade market is getting ready to go down. We'll see what else is going on in the world of hockey. Until then, he is Zach, I am Adam. Together we are the Neutral Zone. Zach, what do we tell the people? And as always, be sure to check the 5 hours. Peace out. Next week. Have a great night, everybody.